blah, 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 blah. Can you hear me all right? Am I doing all right? Am I in here?
Are you in my ear holes?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Are you feeling it?
I'm feeling good.
Are you feeling it now, Mr. Krabs?
I'm feeling all sorts of things, Higgins. You know why? Because it's our birthday and you got me ice cream.
Yeah. I got it for you.
That's creepy as shit.
That works out pretty good for this, right?
No, yep. Okay.
I didn't know what it was going to sound like before I turned it on.
I hate it. Will you please stop that so we can start?
I guess ice cream and you've scrum. So let's eat some ice cream.
Yeah, fuck you too.
And we're back, and Snoop told me to come up with a joke before I came back, and I did that.
What's the joke?
What do you and the drink we're drinking today have in common?
I don't know. What?
You were white, you were rushing me to make you a new drink, and you're full of cream.
Oh, that's good. But what's the joke?
It was just one of those comparison jokes.
Oh, I'll think about it. That sounds complex.
You're
Higgins.
white, you're Russian, and you're full of cream.
That sounds like the quality content that people need for this show, which is the Comixology Club.
They'll enjoy it more when they find out what our drink is.
Yeah, we'll get to that in due time.
I'm sure they're smart enough to figure it out anyways, but
More than likely. I mean, they are our listeners, aren't they, Higgins? The smartest people we
Yeah.
know, who sometimes email us. Your friend Zachary specifically.
smarter than us.
I need
Did
to
he
check
do
to
it
make
again?
sure he hasn't emailed us again. I will. If not, shout out. Anyway, Higgins, now, as I said, this is the Comixology Club. It's a show where I, Snoop Lynching, you, Higgins Stern.
Hey, that's me.
Yep. Good. We fit that in there still. That's good. Well, together, you and I, we're going to talk about a book we read, how we felt, how we didn't feel, but also we're going to talk about a drink that I'm drinking, and it's getting me pretty good already, if I'm honest.
Yeah, and then we're also going to be friends.
Yeah, that's good. And Higgins, we've been friends for at least 50 episodes of this, actually.
Yeah, probably more, but like at least 50 episodes.
I mean, at least 50 weeks.
This is our birthday. Can you put like some of those like birthday
like
things?
streamers or sounds
like,
or something?
Yeah, you know, like the little things that shoot out like a lizard tongue.
Oh, when you blow into them.
And it goes like, "Brrr." Can you, like, instead of me doing brrr, can you put in a brrr noise?
Things I can do you want better. I can underlay that sound that you just did under the sound of that thing that you want. So
Okay.
You can get the best of both worlds.
Okay.
Your regular Hannah Montana over here.
Yeah.
That's a reference that some people might get.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're going to do all those things. Now, before we do, Higgins, before I forget, because again, I'm feeling pretty good already, let's talk about who sponsors this podcast and also some things that we need to talk about with the people who sponsor the podcast.
Yeah, we're sponsored by 0-8studios.com, and those dashes are the important part.
Yes, we need
Because
to make
we made some jokes about it being connected to James Bond. It's not. Get it out of your head. We don't like it. We don't want to hear you talking about it.
yeah, and what Higgins
And
means,
we will never talk about it again.
No, well, yeah, not past this point. But what Higgins means is the numbers themselves are not associated with the James Bond franchise. He wasn't talking about the joke that we did earlier. That definitely happened, and it was really funny, and we all laughed about it for a second. But getting serious now, yes, Michael sent us some talking points, and he doesn't really care, but other people might care, so we're just going to make this quick little distinction and move on with our lives. Higgins, what were some of the talking points? Did we cover most of it or all of it?
I think we did all of them. The name is just a reference to a Navy that was used back when his military days, which we kind of mentioned in the last episode.
Yeah,
But
Navy days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Navy
I don't know.
days.
I don't even know if we can mention that thing. I'm gonna bleep both times we say third time.
well, it was in his message. So
I'm very nervous now, Higgins, after the
Yeah.
James Bond thing. I don't want Daniel Craig or whoever the new one is coming to my house and beating me up.
it's the people that put the truckload of money in his yard that I think we have to worry about. If they can put a truckload of money in Daniel Craig's front lawn, then they can definitely get to us.
Oh, and I would hate that, to have money dropped off at my
Well,
front
I don't
lawn.
think they would drop money off at ours. They'd probably drop off like a big old truck full of like raging armadillos or something like that. And just, can you imagine the holes?
the property damage alone that you'd have to pay to fix.
It would be-
Michael helps us out, but he can't can't do anything about that.
It would be opposite the amount of money that Daniel Craig had put in his lawn. I hope we did it right.
Oh, like
this time.
We'd have an armadillo per dollar of the money that they dumped on Daniel Craig's lawn.
An armadillo. I think we've gone off the ramp a little bit, but it's fine. I think we talked about what Michael wanted us to talk about.
And we both took a second to appreciate that weird joke that you tried to make.
The armadillo ratio.
I liked it. But moving on. Yeah, so we talked about that. Now, that's not the only thing to do with Michael's business and the name and so forth. What else do they do, Higgins?
Oh, yeah. They help people make things. And those things could be anywhere from books to video games to art. And then he's got a couple of shirts and pins and buttons and that sort of stuff, but he doesn't make music. Get out of here. Unless it's in your
video
other things.
Game or your other thing, that he's helping you make. Yeah. Yes, he does
he
all
helps
those
you
things.
publish stuff, and he publishes stuff that he makes. So
yeah, he's making his own stuff. He's made one thing we've talked about. We never stop talking about it.
Yeah, Eternal Dawn, Rising of the Red Crown.
Higgins, you know it's the Eternal Crown, Dawning of the Red Sun. And one of these days you're going to make me forget it, and I'm not going to be happy about that. But yes, it is that book, and he's working on the sequel, The Eternal Crown, Trials of the Clergy. That's the one that you actually know,
That's the one I know.
Yeah, cool. He's working on a sci-fi thing, the Icarus Initiative. It's also going to maybe be a prequel game. Not maybe, it is going to be a prequel game called the Icarus Academy. I don't know if I've ever said that specifically, but that is the plan at a later date.
I know it was a prequel game that's kind of like a, what are those called, a novel game thing.
It's a transmedia project, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
Point is,
I'm just excited about his Rhode Island book still.
I think I remember you telling me about that once.
It's called Providence. It's not about Rhode Island. I just like making that joke every time it comes up.
Oh, that's a good joke. Let's take a minute and appreciate that joke.
Can you put like one of those like ting-a-ling
Higgins, no, I can't.
Noise in there?
You already got your one request with the birthday thing. I can't do two. I'm sorry. I'm only one editor. Anyway, so Michael makes all those things. He is making these things. We will, of course, update anyone who's interested when they come out. But also, he'll help you make your own thing. He's the guy that you go to. It's like, how do I get money and help to make this thing that I care about? He's the guy you want to reach out to.
I don't know the exact things, and I mentioned it before. I don't know exactly the...
You don't know anything. We get it.
Step of their like talking, but they had a meeting with what I mentioned before. Bethany's friend wrote a book. I've read it, or Beta read it, and he's publishing it, and I think Michael is helping him with it. So we'll probably know more about that in a couple of future episodes.
It's funny you've said that exact same thing the last time you brought this up.
But they actually did like a Zoom meeting this time, and I know that they met.
Well, that's very official then.
And he has a book cover, and I think he wanted to put it out in May, but things get pushed back.
No, it's part of the process, and Michael will help you understand any and all that. Now I'm going to leave a link in the description below. It might be in a hyperlink if you're listening. If you're one of those people that watches a YouTube video, we've got YouTube videos of this on there. But you click a different link. I don't really understand it. We talked about the YouTube thing a little bit. You can watch that on there. Some people like that. I don't know why, but
there's a picture and you can hear our voice. We haven't got us on the camera yet, but...
And I never will. I'm always behind the camera, and you know that.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, we talked about the business. That's great. I love that. We've clarified any issues that we might have caused with the Broccoli family, who owns James Bond. That's also good.
They like their greens.
They do love their greens. And I love them, too. The greens, not them. Anyway, let's talk about a book. Let's get back on track and talk about this book that we read that I picked.
What'd you pick for us?
I picked...
This month.
This time that we're recording, yes. I picked Ice Cream Man.
Oh, yeah. So I told you I had read it before, and I had read the first 2 issues of the 4-issue book that we're reading this now. So
okay. Halfway.
So, yeah, I made it halfway. I realized I made it halfway, and then I read the other 2 today.
So you made it all the way?
Yeah, today.
Good.
I made it all the way today.
Hell yeah. Love that. All right, cool. Yes, it is only 4 issues. That's a bit of a short one, I think. But also, I think for this, good idea.
Our Firefly book was 4 issues. We've had a few shorter ones here lately, so that's fine.
It could be. Yeah, I guess that's true. Well, this one also is not just like shortened issues. It's also just like shortened content. But I think for the format that this is going for, it makes sense and it works best. And that's kind of what I've done when I did my little research earlier. When you were reading, I was like, hey, how'd this book get made? What's it about? So this book is written by a guy named W. Maxwell Prince. He hasn't done a lot. It seems like most of what he's done is through publishers IDW and then Image, which is who publishes this one.
He got through Image, and Image is honestly the third biggest comic maker today. So
Yes, and as we always praise them for, it's because
they're the best. They're the best one.
Well, they're the best deal for probably both the creator and the reader, right? I mean, we all love our Supermans and our Wonder Womans and our Batmans. Well, of course we do. That's kind of what we got started when we read comics, or at least most of us. But with Image, you get that idea of okay, this is all creator owned and creator based and driven. So you make this, it's yours. And that's a very interesting, because one, it's obviously an incentive for good writers to kind of shoot for that platform, but also they're gonna come up with some really weird stuff that you wouldn't see in a DC or a Marvel comic.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this is. Weird.
This is if I'd probably call it Twilight Zone if they made it in the early 2020s, 2010s. I don't know when this came out.
I guess I could tell you that if I had looked that up for a second, and I will. I think it came out in 2018.
Yeah, so that makes sense. It feels like Twilight Zone basically, but in nowadays weird times where people got a little weirder than the 60s did.
January 2018 is when this book came out.
Maybe a creepy version of a Black Mirror.
Yeah,
focused around a ice cream man for whatever reason. He doesn't even really play that big of a role.
I'm glad you said that, because I thought the exact same thing as I read it, and so I wanted to know what's the point, what's the approach, what are we going here for? Because I will say I didn't love this. I think it's interesting, and I see the potential in it. But one issue I did have was it's connected, but also not really. And so when I got into it, I found some interviews with Maxwell Prince, and it's his idea. Was it Martin Marazzo? Is that how you say it? Marazzo. On art, and then Chris O'Halloran on colors, and then some random
good old Neon.
Is that? Yeah, that's the letter.
Good old Neon.
I don't know if that's a person or a company.
Maybe that's just his name.
I don't know. It could be a Junkie XL or whatever, just a weird alias. Anyway, so they all worked on this, but Maxwell Prince is the one who came up with the idea. Before this, he had worked on something called 1 Week in the Library, and I don't know anything about it except for he said basically each issue is another day in the week of this story, but that's really the only connection.
Yeah.
And it also allowed him to do kind of this experimental writing, which we talked a lot about in our last episode with Zoe Thorogood's book.
Yeah.
I love that
It's
book.
Lonely at the Center of the Universe.
Yes, exactly. So again, just kind of playing with the format. What can I do? How weird can I get, essentially? And so he discovered when writing that story, that is his strength and also what he likes, because he says he doesn't like kind of having to tell a story in 4 to 5 issues. He would rather just get the idea out at its kind of raw core, in and out, as quickly as possible. And so that works perfectly for an anthology format, which is what this book is. It's basically every story is about someone different, and the only thing connecting them is it's in the same neighborhood, and it's caused by the same weird demon of an ice cream man.
Who's also a werewolf? I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's a werewolf or something.
Something like that. I don't know. He's just a part. Basically, he's our omniscient narrator almost. He kind of just leads us through the story.
He drives the plot.
He talks to us a lot, and because that's what happens in comics. If they put it in a square, that means someone's talking to us and not in the story.
They're saying, "Hey, you.
Hey, you."
The reader. Here. Yeah.
This isn't happening on the page. It's happening in your mind.
And you go, whoa.
Yeah.
And then he goes, yeah, I know. Yeah, exactly. And that is the only connection. Now,
he's really creepy. He's very disgusting creepy. Teeth.
I have some thoughts about him as a character and kind of where this could go. What's crazy to me about this story, and again, just now knowing the initial kind of thought behind it, this has been going a really long time. It's still going as far as I know.
50 issues or something like that.
And I don't know. I liked every little story that was in this. I think it's, pretty clever. You can learn some things. And while the message is pretty straightforward and not really on the nose, but almost there, it's like, this is fun. I'm enjoying this for what it is, and
Yeah.
you know, I get it, but I just don't know if that could be sustainable for multiple issues of this.
I think it's a lot like a lot of the um, like horror audio fiction podcasts I listen to,
Okay.
where they start you off and it's just like random story, random story, random story. And then after you hear like 4 to 5 to 10 like solo stories, now you start seeing like things catch up to like the actual story, the overarching story. It's like a serial type thing, like, you know, like your Law and Orders, your CSIs, your other random like serialized shows where you have a new thing that wraps up every issue, but at the end of it you get like
A little bit more.
one page worth of like, this is our a good overarching story point. And that the only reason I think that is because the ending of the last issue, where we get like a scary dude in a black cowboy hat who's gonna kill the ice cream man eventually. We can talk about the other stuff later, but we have to make them we have to let them know that it's worth going with.
Well, also too, you can what is nice about reading this, if you're not a person like me who has to read everything, because I think a good way to kind of experience this is, Charlie, if you got something to say, at least let me set up a microphone for it. Jeez.
There you go.
Oh. Just get that out. Okay. You done? Nope. And
Now we can talk.
all right, now we can do what we wanted to do, Charlie. Jeez, dog on the podcast. Hey, stop it. I forgot where. Do we need to take a brother break?
I guess so.
You're worse than New Cat this time. How's that possible?
She's got an itchy head.
Jeez. All right. There's too much ice cream in me, Higgins. We'll get to that. I forgot what we were talking about. Hold on. We were talking about the overarching plot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The overarching plot is definitely there. The only thing that concerns me about that is, after reading more and more interviews with Maxwell Prince, he's kind of the main person that talks about this book and how it came to be. It almost seems like he's throwing it in there just to have it there. And
Just
then,
to have it as a tie-in point.
and not like, like, oh, I'm going to trick people into keep reading this way. I don't think that's what he's doing. I just don't think that the way he worded it, it's basically the least important part of the story to him. When he thinks of something, or if he's like, oh, it's been a minute, I need to throw in a little like more about this plot I already know, but people want to know more about, he does it. But I think his main goal is just to have fun with this idea of like, let's do a spooky story every week. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing either. I mean, it's not like he's the first person that did this. We have growing up, we had what is that book series and television show? R.L. Stein's Goosebumps. It's the same thing. And he is doing a good job at it. I just don't know, again, if it's enough for me to keep going. And that's what I think a lot of people could get out of something like this is, if you're not a completionist and you just kind of want something enjoyable to kind of dip your toe into, I think it's good for something like that. Like, just pick one that looks like Black Mirror. Pick something that looks interesting and just watch it. And if you don't watch the rest of the show, it's fine.
Yeah, I think like if we had picked this up when it started, then
It'd be a different experience.
yeah, because it would be like, oh, I read an issue, done for the week. Took me 5 minutes to read. Then just did that every time it came out. It wouldn't be that bad. But I think looking at the 50 issue mark and you're like, man, that's a lot of stuff to read, and is it going to be worth it? It makes it harder for you.
Exactly, yeah. And that's how I felt about it too when I was kind of going through issue 3. I'm like, oh, if this was like a monthly book, I would be pretty stoked. Like, I'd look forward to it, and I would never go back and read it all together. I would just remember the ones that I like. And I don't think this is a bad book by any means, but that is a criticism that I do have about it. And I think it's just because it's kind of the only criticism I have. I really enjoy the rest of what it's doing. I think it's a good attempt at this Twilight Zone-esque kind of idea, but a comic.
Yeah, we get to learn about spiders. We get to learn about junkies. We get to learn about
people that were around during Elvis's time.
one-hit wonders.
Yeah.
And eulogies.
Oh yeah, that one was
and
sad.
what hell looks like.
That one was also. Oh yeah, that was weird, but also sad. Honestly, that one's probably my favorite.
That's the weirdest one.
It's the weirdest
by
one.
and far. That's the weirdest one that's in here.
Yeah,
The rest are just a little sad, but it's sad and
a little bit of everything else.
it's only happy when at the beginning when the people are getting their ice cream, and then as soon as they get their ice cream, it's like shit hits the fan.
Yeah. It's kind of like that genie in the bottle. It's like, be careful what you wish for kind of idea.
Oh,
Monkey's
yeah.
paw is, I think, another thing that's like that. Basically,
yeah.
you can get what you want, but also it might not go the way you think it's going to go. And why is he here? And that's kind of the stuff that gets you go, oh, maybe I want to read more after this volume.
But that's also the thing is like, yes, he's always there when the bad things happen, but he's never the one that starts any of the bad things. Like
Yeah.
the first story, you got a kid spider that's the most venomous spider in the world. For whatever reason, the spider doesn't bite him, kills his parents or whatever. Second story is like it's about junkies and they did it all to themselves.
Mhm.
Third story, one hit wonder, guy can't come up with another song.
He's wasting all his money.
There's literally
thinking
not-
about the old days, basically. Yeah.
Nothing bad happens in that. He has a daydream after he eats half an ice cream cone. So
Yeah.
that one's not even like that scary. That's the thing is like not all these are scary. They're just kind of weird.
That's again, it's the question of like, well, what's his point? Why is the ice cream man doing this? I want to talk more about kind of the ice cream man concept, but just really interesting villain, I guess you'd say. But
I think you could almost call him. There was like a old horror thing where like an old skeleton dude called the Crypt Keeper would like do like old like
Tales from the Crypt.
yeah Tales from the Crypt. They'd be
Yeah.
the Crypt Keeper. He's the Crypt Keeper basically.
So that's interesting because with the idea of the ice cream man, how Maxwell Prince came up with that is he was looking for that thing that ties in all these stories together. And he says at the time, at least, he was watching a show on HBO called High Maintenance. I've never heard of it, but what it seems to be is each episode is a different story, but the
Yeah.
only thing that connects them together is there's this weed dealer.
Yeah, he's a traveling bike weed dealer. I
Okay.
watched the first
Oh, really?
couple episodes.
Yeah.
I didn't stick with it because it wasn't funny or
It just wasn't.
it just
yeah.
wasn't for me basically.
Yeah. Well, so with that idea of the wheat dealer, see what happens in that show apparently is it kind of ends on a hopeful, happy note, and it's all connected through the misadventures caused by this weed dealer coming into town. Well, so he wanted to do that same idea, but he obviously flipped it into more of a horror element. I honestly think a lot of the character of It or Pennywise,
Yeah.
it was kind of like he's not trying to scare them, but it's almost like he feeds off the negativity of some of these like
Yeah.
victims because you have you always look for that link with the stories like this as far as like, well, what do these stories have in common? I think all of the people involved in them are troubled individuals. You have the couple that you mentioned who were junkies, and so they're always looking for their next hit, and then something horrible happens. And then you also have the kid who the spider killed his parents, and he's just
Yeah.
living on his own for a few weeks, and he's like eating himself to death in ice cream, and his parents' corpses are rotting inside the house.
Yeah.
Like, and then the one hit wonder guy, and also even the with the story at the end.
The eulogy, he's thinking about leaving his wife because he's scared about being a dad.
And it's this whole thing again. It all comes back to these negative emotions, things either you want, things you regret. It's almost like that's what he's looking for. And after reading, kind of not to spoil too much, but there's a character at the end. He's brought in to show that there's basically the opposite of that, where you have this being of like pure evil who feeds off negativity to someone who's coming in who's like, oh, I'm on the other side of the coin. I represent hope in people and their positive side. Even the way they draw those and color those characters, it's a cool way to go about it, I guess.
Yeah, then they're almost like dressed in opposite clothing. Like the ice cream man's dressed in all white, but he's probably the bad guy, and the guy in the black suit and black cowboy hat.
He's the angel, basically.
He's the opposite
Yeah.
of the ice cream man, I guess. Something to that effect.
That's exactly what it is, and that's the kind of stuff that I'm like, oh, maybe this is worth looking into. I don't know. I could just read it, for fun, but I definitely agree with what you said. I think that if I somehow got caught up to it, and then it got to a point where it was releasing like monthly or weekly.
Yeah, I just like popped in just to read one issue like once a month or once a couple weeks or something like that.
I feel like I would look forward to it more than how I experienced it with this volume format. I still think it's really good. I mean, you have that ice cream man. You know, we haven't talked to the art yet, but it's good art because that ice cream man is as creepy as he needs to be.
It's all really colorful. Like the colors are where it shines for me, I think. Because, like, you know, it's a little more colorful than everything else. It's computer-generated drawings a little bit more than I think we've been doing in the past, I think.
Yeah. But what's also kind of a positive about, you know, that digital side of art and coloring probably when it comes to colors is you can get a lot more vibrant with
It's
it.
a lot more gradients, like the reds and blues and purples mixing together, and, like, you see the middle ground and stuff like that.
It's pretty, but it's also unsettling in a
Yeah.
lot of ways. And I like the aesthetic they went with. You know, it kind of has. He's an ice cream man, but he reminds me of kind of that milkman from the 50s visiting your neighborhood every day kind of thing. And that's why people don't even question anything to do
Everybody
with this guy.
seems to know everybody seems to know who he is, and everybody seems to not like notice him really.
Yeah, and I love that because by all accounts it's set in the modern day, but at least in this weird town, it is trapped in that friendly neighbor, like talk to everybody 50s suburban culture. Like he even has a point where in the issue with the old one hit wonder guy, he brings him ice cream in a cart inside the restaurant.
Yeah.
You're like, what is
the
this?
old ice cream cart man.
Yeah, just doing the rounds, and everybody's like, oh, it's so great to see the ice cream man, Rick. I like that his name's Rick.
Oh yeah,
That's good. Can your
Rick.
brother go as this guy for Halloween, you think?
he probably could.
Yeah, I think he should. Does he listen?
He definitely doesn't listen. He listens to Pandora still. So
All right, well, in that case, I can say he's
With-
a real bitch.
yeah,
Now, I'll send you just this clip so you can send that to him. And then record his laugh when he hears it, and then we'll use that as a promo for our next episode, okay? Good.
yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds great. Someone's going to like that. I'm going to like it.
I don't really have much else to say about the book. I do want to ask you what your favorite line in the book is.
No, I'll answer that question if you answer mine, and that's what's your favorite issue and why.
That's fine.
Okay, so you asked what my favorite line was?
Yeah,
All right, I've got mine, but it's like a couple lines if that's cool.
that's fine.
Okay, so basically there's a moment where in the second issue, one of the junkies goes back to the house and the ice cream man's just sitting there, and she stole his van earlier and crashed it, and he's just like, you borrowed my truck, but that's okay. I've got plenty. I don't know why, but I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
It's like he doesn't even have to be doing this, but he's here.
He's got plenty of ice cream trucks.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's my favorite line. Now, what is your favorite issue and why?
Well, I'm gonna do my favorite line first, and then I'll tell you my favorite issue.
All right, and then after that, I'll tell you my favorite issue.
All right.
Okay, cool. That's cool.
My favorite line was in the first one.
Okay.
And like he turns into a wolf man. He's got the kid. The lady like saves him, or the spider saves him and bites him. Blah blah blah. And the kid's just laying on the ground, and the cop's like, "What's your name, kid?" And the kid's like, Byron." And then she's just like, "Fuck you, Byron." Just like cracked me up so bad.
I forgot about her. So that is good. She's because her partner just died from
Yeah.
a weird spider.
Yeah,
she's just
Brazilian-
like this fucking kid.
Yeah.
He's like 7,
Yeah.
and his parents are dead.
His parents are dead, but like he ruined
He
everything.
did. He killed the man.
And that was one of the best lines that I heard.
That's a good line.
And I think my favorite issue is probably I really like the third issue where they go on that dreamscape with all the one-hit wonder.
References.
Yeah, well, they're not even one-hit wonder references. They're just like song references.
Yeah, like manifestations.
Because it's like
of-
Major Tom and like Eleanor Rigby and like a couple of other ones. I can't remember what all they are, but those are the main ones. Eleanor Rigby has her face in a jar by the something or other.
I think what's interesting about that issue as well is it's the only one where something doesn't actually happen to a person.
Yeah, nothing
it's all
bad
in his
happens.
head. But what's worse about that for that particular guy is all he wanted was another hit single, and he did it, but just in his head. And so
Yeah.
when he wakes up, he realizes like, oh, I'm still just that loser who, you know, my fame died and I never got over it. And so it's like, I don't know, it's more messed up to me because it's like, well, that guy's probably gonna just go home and kill himself after this. So it's more psychologically damaging. And that's another thing that this book is able to do, and apparently it gets even better at, is it's able to experiment with different ideas within its own story. So you have that one issue that's just that. Apparently, in the next few volumes, I think they said it's issue 13. It's an issue that he wrote as a palindrome, so you can read it either forwards or backwards, and it still makes sense.
That's
Interesting,
really
right?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is one benefit to him doing this kind of format. Again, I'm not in love with how he's necessarily connecting it. I don't think there's quite enough there to even mess with. But also, if he didn't have it, I don't know if I would want to just continuously read it. So I don't know. I'm at a bit of an impasse, Higgins. But my favorite issue was probably the last issue, just because it's got some feels in there. You know, it's about a dad.
Oh, yeah.
It's about a dad who doesn't want to be a dad, talking to a dad who left and wish he had been a dad.
Yeah.
And
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, am I right? That's what he said. He was like, not all it's cracked up to be.
yeah, he just had sex with a bunch of hippies or something, I think.
Yeah.
It's not all it's cracked up to be, you know, like grass is greener on the other side, but also like, hey, you're going to be a dad. Do that dad thing, because if not, you're going to regret it. I don't know. I think that's the issue with the most heart, obviously. And it kind of has the peaks of everything in this volume. That's when we get the introduction of the cowboy character. I think his name is Caleb. So you have Caleb versus Rick. And that was the issue where I went, oh, I would read another volume of this. And I think it's just because like that story was different enough and also kind of more heartfelt. So I'm like, oh, if this is, you know, a high point, where else can we go? And then I read more about it and found out about like the palindrome issue. I think there again is at least something in here that makes me go, I might not read all of this, but if I hear about an issue that's really good, I would want to dip in and just take a look. And I feel like I can still get what I want out of the story just doing that. And that's actually pretty cool.
I'll probably order the second volume of this.
You already had the first volume when I picked it. It was wild. Now, Higgins, it sounds like you're not upset, but I'm going to need you to clarify that with an official rating for this book if we are, in fact, done talking about it.
Yeah, I'll do it. Do a 2 double scoops of chocolate ice cream. Because, yeah, I got 2 scoops, but chocolate's not my favorite ice cream, so it's good, but it's not my favorite. 7 out of 10, basically, is what I would call that.
Because you're not picking your favorite because it's not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Higgins, I want to get...
It's still good. I don't hate chocolate ice cream, but...
Absolutely you don't.
I wouldn't pick it over vanilla, which is... No, cookies and cream, which is my favorite ice cream.
It's good ice cream.
I got this back in July 7th of 2021, so...
Different
literally 2 years ago, I bought this.
Higgins, that's a different you.
Literally 2 years ago this month, I bought this book. So
That's wild.
yeah,
It's like the ice cream man knew that you would eventually be talking about it in a podcast. Yeah.
it's a little scary. I wonder if I'm in an issue down the road. If I see myself in a podcast room in my den, I'm gonna freak.
It's going to be good writing, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone get this guy out of my head.
That Maxwell Prince.
Yeah.
W. Maxwell Prince, actually. Okay, good. Well, Higgins, that's a solid review, and I'm pretty much there with you wholeheartedly. I'm actually going to need you to give me a scoop of vanilla, just one. But I want you to add something special on there, you know? Because while vanilla, it's good on its own, but it's a little bland if you think about it, and this book needs a little more spice, which it has. Don't throw sprinkles on there. Throw just... What's the first topping that comes in your head?
Caramel swirl.
Okay, give me a vanilla scoop with caramel swirl and give that to me because I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Okay.
You know what else I'm feeling good about?
The drink that we drank.
Higgins, I'd like you to tell me about the drink Lickety Split, if you could.
So many of them. We just did a White Russian ice cream cocktail kind of thing.
It had a name, like a specific name.
It was like a white. I think it was a White Russian float, kind of like you put like any float,
But no Coke.
no Coke.
No Coke.
Well, a Coke float's still a float. I think a float's just you float the ice cream in the drink.
Do you realize what just happened?
Huh.
We said Coke so many times that they have to sponsor us now.
Oh, thank goodness.
When's the last time we did that?
It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
We kind of realized that joke wasn't as funny as we thought it was. But
I never stopped thinking it was funny. I just didn't have to think about it too much because we were already sponsored after a certain point. But yes, we got 2 sponsors this episode. Yay. Anyway.
But yeah, the White Russian float, it's even parts half and half in vodka, 2/3 Kahlua.
It's always the Kahlua that gets us.
Yeah, it's the one that, for whatever reason, it's in every drink that like gets us over the edge.
Because it tastes too
It's
dang
delightful.
good. Yeah.
And then a scoop of ice cream, a big scoop of ice cream right in the middle of it.
Be liberal with that scoop of ice cream.
Oh, yeah.
You deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want it to stay there long enough to drink it and then still have the ice cream later.
You want to eat a little bit of it because it's got
Have
the
a little
alcohol in there.
Have a little spoon.
Have a couple mouthfuls. I've had at least 4.
I made a 1.5er and a double for us during this episode, and it's done us good.
There's going to be a specific amount of people that like how tipsy we are in
Yeah.
this episode, and
It's
that's
fun.
good. It's fun. We're having fun here.
We're not doing too bad, and we're not doing that good either.
It's where I like to sit. If I'm honest, I feel very comfortable right now.
Massive verse.
Oh no! I mean, yay!
I just had a little small update.
Oh, that was just part of the theme song. The bit
Yeah.
that I did. Yeah. All right. Massive verse. That means you've been reading more massive verse comics, Higgins.
Yeah, I read like one more set. I read like a couple more sets. I don't know if I told you about Rogue Sun the last I read. I think I did, but
I think at the very least you mentioned that you knew there was a Rogue Sun or something.
all right. Well, Rogue Sun's really good. I read the first volume of that, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then I also read Inferno Girl Red, which Inferno Girl Red is like an alien universe, like set in the future, and she's human, but she's in the future, and she's like a superhero, Power Rangers. She has a watch, and it turns her into a superhero. Don't know much about that other than that. It's set in like a metropolis style like city, basically.
So it's a spinoff that's not at this point connected to the main stuff?
It's barely connected. The only way it's connected is the only way Inferno Girl Red and Rogue Sun are connected are through Supermassive, which is their like one shot like
Big
big crossover connected universe thing. That's actually what's so good about this Massiverse so far is you can literally just pick up Radiant Black. You can just pick up Inferno Girl Red, Rogue Sun, Radiant Red. You can read any of them separately, and it's a full story.
Now, let me ask you this.
You won't be losing anything if you don't read the other ones.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, though, is will you be losing something if, say, I only read Radiant Black, but then I also want to maybe go in on the crossover? Would I be lost at that point?
No, because I read the first crossover, too. I haven't read the second one because it falls later down chronologically.
Okay.
I have like a reading order that I'm following.
Naturally.
But I read the first crossover, hadn't read either of the Rogue Sun or Inferno Girl Red yet, and it didn't affect anything as far as my reading went. So
That's interesting, yeah. Okay. Huh.
But it's good. Inferno Girl Red was really cool. It was like this girl and her mom go back to the town that her mom used to live in.
Okay.
And there was like a superhero called Inferno Girl Red, and her mom was like the Lois Lane character to that lady character that was fighting crime and stuff like that. No love interest as far as I know yet, but she investigated like the criminals basically. And now all of a sudden, wristwatch goes to her daughter, and her daughter's the new character. And that's kind of where that character is what pops up into the crossover.
That new version of the superhero.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. I do like the idea of I can read, because as we know, I didn't love Radiant Black, but there's enough there I felt when I read that first volume that like, oh, maybe I could like Radiant Red, I really enjoyed as a character. So yeah, if there's another character basically where I may not be invested in Radiant Black, but that's okay. I could still get something out of, say, this character I am interested in. And if I wanted to, read the crossover just to get a bigger idea of the world. That's cool.
It's a good connected universe. I'm going to keep reading, and it's going to be really good.
It's going to be so good. I can't wait for more Massive Verse.
I want to read.
Massive Verse
There's one called
content.
Node-1 that I really want to read that has a connected podcast to it that we've talked about before. But they haven't put out a volume yet because it's only done 4 issues and there's going to be 10. So I don't know if I have to wait till the 5th one comes out
To get a trade.
to get a trade.
I got you.
Because I really hate putting just like solo issue comic books on my wall because how am I supposed to know which one's which?
As we discuss all the time, it's one of the most important issues we go over. You cannot display single issues on a bookshelf.
Yeah.
It's not
It
going to
doesn't work.
And if someone says it works, well,
They're wrong.
but also tell me maybe how you do that, because I would like to know if there's
Yeah.
a way. If there's a will, there's a way. Well, cool. That's good. That's good. I like all of that, and I like that you're enjoying it.
Dun-dun-dun-dun, 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 readings for squares.
Higgins, that's that other segment.
Yeah, I had to interrupt you, and I barely got in under the wire. Have you done anything new?
Higgins,
Do
I've
you
done
want
so
anything?
much. I've done so much, except the one thing you asked me to do that I did
That's
not
fine.
do. I didn't watch Puss in Boots.
You got it next time.
I will. Well, maybe not next time because we'll have some guests on that we'll talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But
We'll probably have a long one.
I don't want to talk to them about Puss in Boots. They wouldn't understand my opinions, my hot takes. One in particular wouldn't understand my hot takes. She knows who she is. Anyway, now I've been looking into a lot, so I'm just going to give you a list and I'll talk about one this time.
There's going to be 2 she's in our next episode, and I just can't tell which one you're talking about.
You know. She knows. That's all that matters. She's fuming right now. Anyway, enough about Aaron. So, Higgins, I've looked into a lot. I'll name some. You pick one. So I've watched some of Suits. I saw some movies, Asteroid City, and also The Flash. I saw The Flash with Ezra Miller's The Flash. Saw that. And then I've been watching Secret Invasion as well.
Oh, man. There's a lot of stuff. I want to know your opinion on The Flash.
I knew you would. Yeah. All right. So here's the thing.
It's probably a good movie, right?
It's interesting. I will say that I did not hate this, and I'm very surprised because it had a lot working against it.
I hate the guy, or them.
You hate them. Considering if anyone knows anything about the Flash movie that just came out and the weird turns and twists
I just
and
can't
delays
believe
it took,
it even came out.
I can't believe that it's anything, if I'm honest with you.
How do they even get it into the theaters?
Well, Higgins, not with much success. So this might be. We don't know as of right now of recording.
Well, no one wants to watch the movie.
But here's the thing. Think about this. This might be the biggest financial bomb of any movie ever in existence.
They spent
Ever.
5 years to make it.
That we know about, basically, yeah. So The Flash is a DCU film. Now it's important
Could have
for a
been
few.
really good.
It could have. It's important for a few reasons. Basically, for anyone who cares. So this is the Ezra Miller version, which is the DCEU, whatever it is, universe with Ben Affleck. But also, it's the ending of that universe, so we can start fresh with the James Gunn universe.
Are they doing the Flashpoint kind of?
They did the Flashpoint kind of.
Okay.
I think that if you care about any of this kind of stuff, it's worth a watch. I'm not saying you'll like it. I just think that it's worth a watch.
They had to do it so they could Flashpoint it so James Gunn could make better movies.
Essentially. And that wasn't even the initial intention. Because
they wanted to do it to be gritty and
real. Yeah. Ezra Miller, for all their faults, is not a bad actor.
No.
I think that they were miscast in this role years ago, and I don't change my opinion about that now. I saw it with our friend Sean, and he basically said the exact same thing, but we both walked out of that not hating it. And I think that's just because there's enough nostalgia here. Like, you get Michael Keaton's Batman, that's no surprise to anybody who's kept up with it. But also, the new stuff they do is pretty good. The girl they got to play this version of Supergirl, I think her name is Sasha Kaye. She's not in it a lot, but she's good. And the story is emotional when it needs to be. The effects are mixed to awful and weird. They have a bunch of sequences of CGI cameos and people, and it looks like a PS3 cutscene. I'm not the first person to say that, but it 100% does. But it's not bad. I cannot explain it.
I mean, Flashpoint's cool. It's cool that you can merge multiple universes. It's weird that both Marvel and DC are doing it at the same time, but I think that's what's in right now.
Well, what's interesting about that whole multiverse phase is it is happening at the same time. One, because one started doing it and the other studio went, oh, there's some money in this, so we'll do it too. But also what's interesting is the reasons behind each studio. Marvel's doing it because they did the time travel and the Infinity Stones. They need a new thing. They need a new angle. Multiverse is a pretty easy pick. And also you get to cash in on cameos.
And it gives you a reason to bring Spider-Man in. That's like half the reason Marvel did it, is to bring Spider-Man in.
It's 75% of the reason they did it. Yeah, and it paid off. It made huge money.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is with DC, though, is they're doing it out of desperation, because instead of going, okay, we messed up, let's reboot, they're coming up with an in-universe reason for why they need to reboot the universe.
Which, honestly, like, I've always said that DC Comics are my favorite over Marvel Comics.
Absolutely, yeah.
But also, DC Comics have done multiverses multiple times to
reset universes
their universes that aren't doing well. And so it's funny that they're doing the same thing with their movies.
It's weird history.
Because I don't know if Marvel's done that to fix their universes, but
typically, as far as I know, they'll do it. Like, they also will reboot some stuff, but it's not out of an event. It's almost just like a hard reset. Like, hey, we're doing something different. This is happening. They don't, as far as I know, they don't have a ton of events like DC does, where you're right. They come up with a reason that they had to rewrite everything. And
we literally had a whole podcast that talked about how DC remade their whole thing
because the one they were doing at the time was not
Kinda
doing
sucked.
financially well. Yeah. And what's also interesting about that universe is that's most of what the DC movie universe has been based on. But yeah, basically all that being said, The Flash is not a bad movie. It's not a great movie. I don't even know if it's a good movie, but I do know it's not a bad movie, and that's really weird to me.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, though, does not... He's good.
He doesn't disappoint?
I don't think so, no.
I still need to watch the original Michael Keaton Batman because I haven't seen it, or his versions. I have it right here.
Just watch the first one.
My coworker gave it to me, so
you should watch it.
It's got all 4 of them, including Batman and Robin.
Remember Batman and Robin when you watch the Flash movie. That's all I'll say.
All right.
Because there's something that's going to happen. You're going to go, oh, okay, sure, why not? But yeah, so that was the end of the DCEU. And now we're moving on with Blue Beetle, I think is the first one technically.
I'm really excited about Blue Beetle.
I've heard people are. I'll give it a chance. I won't say I'm excited because I'm not, but also I will say I could be pleasantly surprised.
Blue Beetle's a cool character.
He's a super cool dude. He's basically Spider-Man, but with a Blue Beetle suit, and that's pretty tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I'm going to sweep up the rug a little bit. You can find me at Twitter at MikeHiggins93 and Instagram at JStern93. You can find Snoop at Instagram if he's ever there again at Snoop_Lynch. And you can find us both at our email, which is thecomixologyclub at 0-0-8studios.com. And you'll find that hyperlink on our wherever you listen, basically.
Except YouTube. Can't do hyperlinks. They don't like them. I have to go in and manually put the links in.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah, you can do all those things. Higgins, you on Threads? I got to ask that, you know.
I know what a Threads is, but I barely know what Threads is.
Good.
I don't have one.
Keep it that way.
I don't know. It's the new Twitter, though.
Shut up.
It's the woke Twitter.
I thought Twitter was too woke. Wasn't that the problem?
No. Twitter's like Nazis now, apparently.
Oh, that's the opposite of too woke.
Is apparently what people are saying now.
On Threads is where they're saying that. Okay. So you do have one?
No.
It's not important.
The only thing that confuses me about Threads is that like people keep putting it on their Instagrams and it's just at a weird looking @ sign and numbers, which is hard.
You're too old for that.
Yeah. I'm too old for that.
You've hit that point.
I'm going to be 30 this year.
I'm already 30. That's right, Higgins. You're going to be 30 before this next episode
comes out. Well, not before this episode comes out, but the next episode I'll be 30.
Do you want to give one last 29 for the road?
29? 29? 29?
That's good. All that. I'm going to keep all that. You know why? Because it's the last time you're going to be able to say it on this podcast.
On air.
I shouldn't have even said it. I'm going to have to go to jail now. And they're going to beat me up with all this armadillos we mentioned earlier.
Armadillos.
Yeah, so you can find us on those things. Probably not me on Instagram, but on the email, as Higgins said. Send us a message. Oh, I forgot to check. Hold on. It's too much ice cream, Higgins. What's the problem?
Oh, I'm chocolate. Oh, we're chocolate wasted. Like that one Adam Sandler movie.
Oh, we should have just talked about that this episode. Okay, no emails from Zachary this time.
Oh, thank goodness. Any emails?
You don't say thank goodness. We love emails from Zachary.
No, I just mean like that we didn't miss them because we're neglectful.
Well, I didn't know what you meant, but now I do, and that's good. As long as you're not talking bad about our emails and the people who send them. Zachary sends us emails sometimes. So yeah, we're going to go for another month, but we also are going to come back twice as strong, and by that I mean we're having 2 guests. Something I've never done before in my recording days, and hopefully I can. Higgins will now tell you who the guests are and what we're reading.
All right, so our first guest is going to be our friend Erin, who we've like whispered her name a couple times. She listens, and she listens hard, and we love her.
We do. She doesn't love us, just to be clear. And also, then we'll talk more about it.
Oh, she's Michael's wife.
She's Michael's wife.
Michael's wife.
She's the other half of the 008 Studios.
She's the father of her children, the mother of her heart, and she's gonna be pretty pregnant. So we'll figure that out as far as the alcohol goes.
Oh, I'm gonna need a 5th microphone. Damn it! It's fine. It's fine.
And then Bethany's coming back, I guess, because Erin was too scared to come on by herself.
And I argued to you that she wouldn't be by herself because she's pregnant.
Yeah.
But that apparently wasn't enough to convince her. So yes. But of course, we are more than happy to have Bethany back on, and have 2 ladies on the pod. So me and Higgins can just hit the record button and then leave the room for an hour and see how the other half lives.
The coolest part is going to be we're going to have a studio that might fit all of us, too.
No guarantees, but possibly, yes.
Yeah, hopefully.
I mean, if anything, you'll have to sit on my lap or vice versa.
We'll figure it out.
You look like you wanted the other thing. Yes, did you say the book? We're reading Lady Killer.
No. We're reading Lady Killer by something with 2 J's or
Joelle
something.
Jones.
Yeah, I nailed it.
Yeah.
2 J's.
Yeah, yes, I nailed it, yes. I don't know who draws it. It might be her too, but we'll talk about that more, and Erin will probably do most of the heavy lifting.
I hope so.
Yeah, I mean, she's already lifting
She's
that
already
baby.
lifting a whole nother person.
Ridiculous.
What a woman.
All right, so, and we'll talk about that, of course, but until then, I'll say, oh, no, the beep finally happened.
Wow.
Wow, I guess we're doing okay.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That really took me off the loop.
Me too. And what sucks is people don't hear the beep. They never hear it.
You should put a beep in.
I guess, but that wouldn't be genuine, would it? Anyway, so until next time, I'll say cheers, guys. That's what I say. I will remind Higgins to always get that egg in him, and now he will say something.
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, am I right?
You're never wrong.
Sex, drugs, and ice cream rolls, am I right? I couldn't think of anything better to say after that, so I guess we'll stop.
I thought we were taking another moment to appreciate our jokes.